Okay, now let us see what is a wave function. So now we are aware that the matter waves exist and it is associated with the moving particle, and all the quantum behavior of the particles is due to the existence of waves or matter waves. So quantum mechanics is nothing but a kind of wave mechanics. So to study any wave mechanics, first we should understand the concept of wave function. So let us see what is that. The quantity that characterizes the de Broglie wave or matter wave is called the wave function, and it is usually denoted as psi. Psi of r comma t or psi of x, y, z and t. That is, psi is a function of position and time. So it is nothing but a wave function, that is generally mathematical wave function. We have used it in our previous classes to represent a progressive wave as y is equal to a sin omega t or a sin omega t minus kx, like that. So where y is used to represent a progressive wave, but here instead of y we are using psi, Greek letter psi, which is a function of position and time. In 3 dimension it may be represented as like this, x, y, z and t. So this gives the complete information about the state of the physical system at a particular time. So wave function, which describes the matter wave, which gives the state of that physical system or a quantum system at a particular time. So what is its state? So it is called the state function. It is also called as the state function, and it represents the probability amplitude. The psi represents the probability amplitude of the matter wave. That is, as we discussed in the previous heading, that matter waves, the amplitude of the matter waves that may correspond to the probability of finding the particle. Therefore, here the psi represents that amplitude of the probability wave. Therefore, psi represents the probability amplitude. So if psi is large, the probability of finding the particle is also large. If psi is small, then the probability of finding the particle is small. So the wave function psi gives the likelihood of finding the particle at a given instant and at a given position. So likelihood means whether we could able to find the position of the particle or not at that position and time. So psi gives that. So let us see what is the physical significance of the wave function. So as we know that the psi represents amplitude of the matter wave, but psi itself has no physical meaning. Then what is psi? To get the meaning out of psi, we need to convert psi into mod psi square. Why this conversion psi into mod psi square? Because psi, as we know, represents the matter wave. That means it is the probability amplitude of the matter wave. But as we know, matter wave having both positive and negative amplitudes. So if a matter wave having amplitudes like this, so it has both positive and negative values like this. So if we say it is the probability of finding the particle, we can say it is meaningful, or it gives the meaningful answer for positive amplitudes. What about those negative amplitudes? That means the probability is always positive and real. It cannot be negative value. There is no meaning for negative probability. So since that psi has both positive and negative amplitudes, psi itself has no meaning. We cannot say that psi represents probability of finding a particle. Therefore, psi itself has no physical meaning. So to get the physical meaning out of it, we need to convert that psi into mod psi square. So mod psi square, conversion of psi into mod psi square is suggested by the Max Born, person who explained how to find the probability of the particle. So therefore we call it as Max Born's notation. psi into psi star. So it is mod psi square. So product of psi into psi star. Psi star is its complex conjugate. Complex conjugate means if psi is a complex number, then conjugate is written as replacing I with minus I. So if psi is nothing but a complex number as psi is equal to a plus ib, then psi star will be a minus ib. If this is psi, then the psi star will be replaced replace I with minus I, then psi becomes psi star. So the product of psi into psi star, which is the modulus of psi square, will be always positive and real. So it will never give any negative or imaginary values. Therefore, the mod psi square is always positive and real, and that gives the probability of finding the particle, and that is called probability density of the particle. So psi square is a measure of the probability density. So psi itself has no meaning, but psi star has physical meaning, and it is nothing but the probability density or the probability of finding the particle within a small volume dV. So also in an electromagnetic wave system, if A is the amplitude of the wave, then the energy density, that is energy per unit volume, is equal to A square. So A into A will give you the energy density, energy per unit volume. So that the number of photons per unit volume, that is photon density, is proportional to A square by h nu. So if A square is the energy per unit volume or the energy density, then A square by h nu will give the photon density. So the photon density is proportional to A square, as h nu is a constant. Similarly, if psi is the amplitude of the matter waves at any point in space, then the particle density at that point may be taken as proportional to psi square. So psi square may also correspond to the particle density. So thus psi square is a measure of particle density also. So when it is multiplied by the charge of the particle, the charge density is obtained. In this way, psi square is a measure of charge density also. So probability density in terms of charge density, everything we can get from the psi converting into mod psi square. So for the total probability of finding the particle somewhere is of course unit. For example, if a particle is moving somewhere from minus infinity to plus infinity, then the particle is somewhere present between minus infinity to plus infinity. Therefore, the probability of finding the particle from minus infinity to plus infinity, it is always unity. That is, particle is certainly be found somewhere in space. So that mathematically can be represented as like this. That is, integral of mod psi square from minus infinity to plus infinity in a volume dx dy dz. So integrating over a volume, the mod psi square dx is always 1. So in a small volume dv, integral from minus infinity to plus infinity, mod psi square dv is equal to 1. This indicates that the particle is present somewhere in the space. So this is called normalization condition. Simply multiplication of psi square with dimension quantity dx or dy dz will give the probability at that point, that is within dx or dy or dz. So if we go and add all those probability values from minus infinity to plus infinity, because integration is nothing but repeated addition. So if we integrate over minus infinity to plus infinity, it should be equal to 1. So this is called normalization condition. Okay. So now we will see what is Schrodinger's wave equation. So Schrodinger's wave equation is a very important equation. Without that we cannot study anything about quantum system. So that is very much, in the study of quantum mechanics, it is very much essential to know Schrodinger wave equation. In terms of Schrodinger wave equation only, we can solve a quantum system to get its state or its eigenfunctions or eigenvalues. So let us see what is Schrodinger wave equation and how to obtain the Schrodinger wave equation. There are two kinds of Schrodinger wave equations, time independent and time dependent. So as per the syllabus, VTU syllabus, we have only time independent Schrodinger wave equation that we are going to discuss now. And of course in only one dimension. It can be extended to 3 dimension, it is not a problem. So now let us see how to set up the one-dimensional time independent Schrodinger wave equation. So according to de Broglie theory, for a particle of mass m moving with a velocity v, there is a wave associated with it, and the wavelength, the de Broglie wave associated with it is lambda is equal to h by p, where p is the momentum of the particle. Next, the wave equation for de Broglie wave can be written in complex notation as psi is equal to a into e power minus I omega t, because as we know that the wave associated with the particle, that is de Broglie wave, is a complex compound wave. So instead of using normal y is equal to a sin omega t progressive wave, we use a into e power minus I omega t, because e power I omega t is also a wave function. So as we know that e power I theta is equal to cos theta plus I sin theta, and here we are using psi as a into e power minus I omega t. So minus I omega t, e power minus I omega t is nothing but cos omega t plus I sin omega t, and this is the sum of the cos and sin functions omega t. As we know that y is equal to a sin omega t is a wave function, a progressive wave function, and sum of cos omega t plus I sin omega t, sum of two wave functions. So e power minus I omega t is nothing but a into cos I omega t minus a into minus I into sin omega t. So that is sum of two waves. As we know that matter wave is a compound wave packet, it is the sum of the superposition of two or more waves. So sum of two waves which is imaginary, not real, because it's I is involved in this equation, which represents it's a compound complex wave function. Therefore, to represent matter wave, we use a into e power minus I omega t, which is nothing but a complex compound wave function. So psi now is a into e power minus I omega t, where a is the amplitude and omega is the angular frequency. So now let us differentiate the equation 1 with respect to t twice. So if we differentiate it, d square psi by dt square, we get minus omega square into a e power minus I omega t. So a into e power minus I omega t is nothing but psi. So we can write d square psi by dt square is equal to minus omega square into psi. Let us take this as expression number 2. Next we have the equation for a progressive wave in differential form. This is the differential form of a progressive wave. I hope you have used this equation in your mathematics classes. So it's a second order differential equation which represents a progressive wave. So it is nothing but d square y by dx square is equal to 1 by v square into d square y by dt square, where y is the instantaneous amplitude of the wave and v is the velocity of the wave, t is the time. That is, y is displacement, v is the velocity of the wave. So by analogy, we can write the wave equation for de Broglie wave for the motion of a free particle as just replacing y with psi. So d square psi by dx square is equal to 1 by v square into d square psi by dt square. So this is the wave equation in differential form for a de Broglie wave. So from equation 2 and 4, that is from this and this. Then substituting d square psi by dt square as minus omega square psi. So d square psi by dx square is equal to minus 1 by v square into omega square psi. We substituted for this term. Now let us substitute for v is equal to mu lambda, where mu is the frequency and lambda is the wavelength. This is velocity, and omega as 2 pi mu. Mu is the frequency. Don't get confused with this and this. This is the new frequency and this is v velocity. So d square psi by dx square is equal to minus 1 by nu lambda square. V is nu lambda. So 1 by nu lambda square into 2 pi square nu square into psi omega square. So here nu square will get cancelled. We will get d square psi by dx square as minus 4 pi square by lambda square into psi. So we will rewrite this equation and we will write it in terms of 1 by lambda square. We will keep 1 by lambda square here. Remaining terms will cross multiply. So we will get 1 by lambda square equal to minus 1 by 4 pi square psi into d square psi by dx square. Let it be the equation number 5. So next, the kinetic energy of the moving particle of mass m and velocity v is given by half mv square. So half mv square is the kinetic energy of the particle. So it can be written as m square v square by 2m, by just multiplying and dividing by m, and this m square v square is nothing but t square. So half mv square is nothing but t square by 2m in terms of the momentum of the particle. So from equation number 1, that is lambda is equal to h by p, we can write p is equal to h by lambda. So if we substitute for this, we will get h square by 2m lambda square as the kinetic energy of the particle. Now if we substitute for 1 by lambda square from equation number 5, so this is 1 by lambda square, 1 by 4 pi square sin d square psi by dx square. Substitute this equation 5 in this kinetic energy. So h square by 2m as it is minus 1 by 4 pi square psi d square psi by dx square substituted. So let it be, this is equation number 6. Okay, next, let there be a field where the particle is present. So the particle is present in a field. Depending on its position in the field, the particle will possess certain potential energy. Therefore, the total energy of the particle is equal to the sum of the kinetic energy plus potential energy. So the total energy E is equal to kinetic energy plus the potential energy V, electric potential V. Therefore, kinetic energy is equal to total energy minus the potential energy. So if we substitute this in the equation number 6 for kinetic energy, E minus V is equal to h square by 8m pi square 1 by psi into d square psi by dx square. So rearranging the equation by keeping d square x by dx square, if you cross multiply everything, we will get d square psi by dx square is equal to this minus E minus V into 8 pi square m by h square into psi. So if you move it into the left side, the equation will get d square psi by dx square plus 8 pi square m by h square into E minus V psi equal to 0. So this is a one-dimensional, time-independent Schrödinger equation. So this is the very important equation in quantum mechanics. In solving any quantum system, we need to use this equation to get the eigenvalues and eigenfunctions of a system, quantum system. Okay, now let us learn what are eigenfunctions and eigenvalues. So in quantum mechanics, to know the state of a system, it is required to know about the wave function psi. So in order to find psi, the Schrödinger's equation has to be solved Since it is a second order differential equation, there are several solutions for this equation. So here we have to select the wave functions which would correspond meaningfully to a physical system. So such wave functions are said to be acceptable wave functions, and these acceptable wave functions of a particular quantum system are called as eigenfunctions. So in general, eigenfunctions are nothing but the wave functions which are acceptable for a particular quantum system. For example, if we have a case of hydrogen atom will be having a nucleus and an electron around it. So the wave functions which describe for the electrons around the nucleus for hydrogen atom is different. So only that particular system will be having a set of wave functions. Those are called eigenfunctions for that system, that is for hydrogen atom. For example, another example, if an electron is going in a straight line in a field, in a potential, then the wave functions which describes that particular single electron going in a straight line is different only for that system. So those particular wave functions which describes that particular quantum system are known as eigenfunctions for that system. So that is, in a short, eigenfunctions are the particular wave functions for a particular quantum system. And then the energy values that are evaluated from the Schrödinger's wave equation corresponding to the eigenfunctions are called as eigenvalues. That is, after solving the Schrödinger wave equation, we will get another equation for the energy values of that quantum system. So that equation gives the energy of the system at different states. So though that energy equation or the values obtained for the energies are called the eigenvalues. So eigenvalues and eigenfunctions are characteristic of a particular quantum system, so through which we can know the state of any quantum system. So in knowing or in observing a quantum system, it is very much essential to know the eigenfunctions and eigenvalues of a quantum system. So let us see this with an example. So here is an example or application of Schrödinger wave equation. With this we are going to study a particle in one-dimensional potential well of infinite height, or simply it is known as particle in a box. So here I think you can see this image. Here a particle is moving between two boundaries. So this particle is moving between these two ends. So this may be treated as a particle in a box or a particle in a one-dimensional potential well. One-dimensional because it is moving only in one dimension, say x-axis, no y and z movements, so only x movements, therefore it is one-dimensional. So particle in a one-dimensional potential well. Let us see what is a potential well is. A potential well is nothing but a one-dimensional system in which a particle is trapped such that the particle requires high potential to go out of that boundary. So in this diagram, here we can see that there is a particle trapped in this, and it can move from anywhere from x equal to 0 to a. It has only the limit from 0 to a, and it cannot go beyond these points. It cannot go below 0 and above a. So to go out of this system, this particle needs infinite amount of energy. That is, it is showing as the height of the wall as infinity in both sides. That is, outside the this boundary, the potential energy is infinite. That means virtually this particle is trapped inside and it cannot go outside of this system. So outside the potential energy is infinity, so it cannot go out of these boundaries. Therefore this kind of system is called a potential well. The potential well need not be like an actual physical well. A particle trapped in a line can be a one-dimensional potential well. For example, a stone tied with a thread, and if you are rotating in your hand, you can see that the shadow of that rotating particle on the ground will be moving like this. Shadow will be moving between only 2 points. So virtually there is nothing to stop that shadow to go out of this, but shadow will never go out of these points because it is tied with the thread. So to go out of these points for the shadow, the particle or the stone which is tied with the thread, it should be broken. When the thread is broken, the stone will go out of that boundary, and then shadow will move out of that limits. So that shadow movement can be treated as a one-dimensional movement of that. That is not a particle, but you can imagine like that. So virtually the particle is trapped in between 2 points along a straight line. So that is called a one-dimensional potential well. Okay, let us see how to solve the eigenfunctions and eigen values for this particle which is trapped in a one-dimensional potential well using Schrodinger's wave equation. Okay, let us consider a particle of mass m is freely moving in x direction in the region from x equal to 0 to x equal to a. So it can move only between x equal to 0 and x equal to a. Outside this region, potential energy V is infinity, and within this region V is 0. So inside the potential energy is 0, therefore it can move freely, but outside of this it is infinity. So for this case, the Schrodinger's wave equation for a one-dimensional case is given by d square psi by dx square plus 8 pi square m by h square into e minus v psi equal to 0. This equation we derived in the previous topic. So that is the Schrodinger wave equation for a one-dimensional case. So outside the potential box, outside the potential well or the box is the infinity. The potential energy V is infinity. So if we substitute that value in this expression, we will get d square psi by dx square plus 8 pi square m by h square into e minus infinity into psi equal to 0. So if we substitute the value of V as infinity, this equation is difficult to solve, or this equation has only one solution, so that we have right hand side 0, the left hand side becomes 0 only for when psi is equal to 0. So 0 into infinity is 0, therefore this is the only solution for this equation. For psi equal to 0, left hand side will become 0 and it will be satisfied with the right hand side. Therefore this equation holds good only for psi equal to 0, and this is the only one solution. For all points outside the box, psi equal to 0, and therefore mod psi square equal to 0. There is no other solution other than psi equal to 0. For any other value of psi, this will not become 0. Therefore this is the only solution. So if psi equal to 0, definitely mod psi square equal to 0 also, because psi has no meaning, so we cannot say anything about only psi. When it is converted to mod psi square, then we can say it is the probability of finding the particle. So mod psi square equal to 0, that means the particle cannot be found outside the potential well or outside the box. So mod psi square 0, we are discussing about outside the potential well. So after solving the Schrodinger equation, we got the answer as mod psi square equal to 0. That means the probability of finding the particle is 0. So this implies that outside the potential well, there is no chance of finding the particle, because mod psi square is 0. And it is well known that the particle is trapped between these 2 points. so we can never find outside of this. So that is mathematically we showed that the particle cannot be found outside the box. Now let us see what happens inside the box. So inside the box, Schrödinger wave equation is given by, that is, inside the box V is equal to 0. So if you substitute V equal to 0 in the Schrödinger wave equation, we will get this equation: d square psi by dx square plus 8 pi square m by h square. E minus V is 0, therefore E psi equal to 0. So let us take this all constant 8 pi square m by h square into E as k square. The equation becomes d square psi by dx square plus k square psi equal to 0. So here the k square is this constant value 8 pi square m by h square into E. Let it be the equation 2a, this one. So equation 2 is the second order linear homogeneous differential equation. So this is a second order linear homogeneous differential equation. So I hope you have studied about linear homogeneous differential equations in your mathematics class, and you will be knowing the general solution for this kind of equations. And therefore the general solution of this kind of equation is given by psi is equal to a cos kx plus b sin kx, where a and b are constants which are unknown. So those constants we need to evaluate. So we got the solution for the Schrödinger wave equation as psi is equal to a cos kx plus b sin kx. But this cannot be called as the eigenfunction because still it has some constants which are unknown. Of course we know the value of k, but we don't know the value of a and b. Until we solve the values of a for a and b, we cannot say this is the eigenfunction for this. So how to solve for a and b? For that we need to apply the boundary conditions. So what are the boundary conditions? There are two boundaries. At x equal to 0 one boundary, and at x equal to a is another boundary. So let us see the first one, first boundary condition, that is at x equal to 0. At x equal to 0, psi equal to 0. What does it mean? See, here at x equal to 0, the wall height of the wall is infinity. That is, the particle cannot present at x equal to 0 also. Not only outside, it is on the wall also, it is infinity. Therefore at x equal to 0, particle cannot be found. Particle cannot be found means mod psi square is 0 or psi equal to 0. So on the wall, that is at x equal to 0, the wave function psi is also 0 because particle cannot be found at x equal to 0. So if you substitute these in the equation 3, when psi 0 and x is 0, we will get that a equal to 0, because if x is 0, cos 0 is 1, and if x is 0, sin 0 is 0. So if sin 0 is 0, this term will become 0, and cos 0 is 1, we are left with a, but the left hand side psi is 0, therefore a equal to 0. So now we got the value of a as 0. So the one constant is eliminated because its value is 0, no need to keep that constant. Then the wave function or the solution of the equation becomes only psi equal to b sin kx. Only b sin kx. Now let us see the second boundary condition, that is at x equal to a, another boundary. So here at x equal to a. At x equal to a also, the height of the wall is infinity. So particle cannot present at x equal to a also. Therefore if particle cannot present, then mod psi square equal to 0 or psi is 0. That is at x equal to a, psi is 0. Particle cannot be found. Therefore if you substitute x equal to a and psi equal to 0 in the expression here, now we have only this part. This is 0. Psi is equal to b sin kx. So left side psi is 0, and b sin kx is a. So b sin ka equal to 0. So here We got left hand side 0 and right hand side as b sine ka. But since left hand side is 0, either b may be 0 or sine ka may be 0. If you assume b equal to 0, then there is nothing, already one constant is eliminated as 0. Then if we take b second constant is also 0, then there is no solution. Psi will become 0 at all points. So b cannot be 0, it should be a non-zero value. If b is non-zero, then sine ka must be 0 because the product is 0. So this implies that sine ka must be equal to 0. So if sine ka is 0, for what values of ka sine ka becomes 0? If ka is 0, then sine 0 is 0. So we got one value as 0. But even for another value, say ka is pi, if ka is equal to pi, then sine pi is also 0. Or if ka is 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi or n pi, for all values of ka which is equal to n pi, sine ka equal to 0. Therefore this implies that the value of ka is equal to n pi. N may be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, anything. For all the values of integers, this ka equal to n pi, then the sine ka becomes 0. This equation is satisfied. So we got the value of ka equal to as n pi. Then k is equal to n pi by a. So we got the value of k as n pi by a. But already we know that k square is 8 pi square e by h square. So we can evaluate that then. So if you square this, k square is equal to n square pi square by a square, where n is an integer. So we got the k value. So if you substitute that, then the psi becomes psi equal to b sine n pi by a x, because only left with the b constant. We don't know still the value of b. A is eliminated in this equation, but it only remaining is b sine kx, but k value is n pi by a. So this is the equation 3a, which is nothing but the wave function, but still it is not eigenfunction because b is not known. Let us see how we can find that. Now let us substitute the value of k square in the expression 2a. Here we substitute the value of k square, then we will get 8 pi square by h square e is equal to n square pi square by a square. So pi square will get cancelled, and we can find the expression for e. E is equal to n square h square by 8m a square. So this is called the energy eigenvalue equation. We tried to get the eigenfunction, but we got the eigenvalue equation. So here the energy of the particle can be equal to n square h square by 8m a square. Here h square, 8m, a, everything is constant. A is the width of the potential well. So everything is constant except n. N is an integer. So as n value changes, the energy of the particle changes. So this n is called the quantum number, and n can vary from 1 to infinity. Even it can be any integer, but n cannot be 0. If you take n as 0, then everything will become 0, energy is 0. This is not true, because particle is moving. A particle is moving means definitely it possesses the kinetic energy. So minimum energy it can possess is n equal to 1. That is, if n equal to 1, then h square E is equal to h square by 8m a square. So minimum energy is h square by 8m a square. That is called the minimum or the ground state energy. We will discuss about energy values in the later solution discussion part. So we got the energy eigenvalue expression, but still we don't know the eigenfunction because b is unknown. Let us see how to find the value of b. So to evaluate b in the equation 3, one has to perform the normalization of the wave function. I hope you remember we discussed about normalization when we discussed about the physical significance of the wave. So where we defined the normalization condition for a one-dimensional case as integration of minus infinity to plus infinity mod psi square dx is equal to 1. That is, if we find out the probability over x direction from in a small distance dx, and if we add it from minus infinity to plus infinity, we should get 1. So that means the particle is moving somewhere from minus infinity to plus infinity. So definitely the probability must be 1 between minus infinity to plus infinity. But for this case, that is the particle in one dimension box, the integral of the wave function over the entire space in the box must be equal to the unity. That is, the integration is enough from 0 to a, from the entire width of the potential well. No need to integrate it from minus infinity to plus infinity, because it is trapped, particle is trapped inside the box or inside the potential well. Therefore it is enough to integrate from 0 to a, and for all other points below 0 and above a, it's all 0. I mean the probability is 0, then no need to find all those values. So integral of mod psi square is non-zero only from 0 to a. Therefore the normalization condition becomes integral of 0 to a mod psi square dx equal to 1. Now let us substitute the value of psi in this expression, as we know that psi is equal to b sine n pi by ax. So integral equation becomes integration of 0 to a b square sine square n pi by ax, because it is mod psi square. So squaring the psi, we will get b square sine square n pi by ax dx equal to 1. And here the b square is a constant, we can take it outside, and integral of sine square n pi by x dx is the equation. But we don't know what is the direct integral value of sine square. So what we can do is we can convert sine square in terms of cos, like sine square theta is equal to 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2. So we use that identity. So sine square n pi by ax will be 1 minus cos 2 n pi by ax whole divided by 2. That by 2 will take outside along with b as constant. So b square by 2 will be taken outside. Then it will be integral of 0 to a 1 minus cos 2 n pi by a into x dx equal to 1. So now we can integrate it easily. So b square by 2 is a constant outside, we'll split it. So integral of 1, that is integral of dx minus integral of cos n pi by ax. So integral of 1 is x, and integral of dx is x, and integral of cos 2n pi by ax is sin 2n pi by ax divided by 2n pi by a. So that 2n pi by a division is written as a by 2n pi, because that will be in the denominator. So after rearranging, the a will go to numerator, 2n pi by will come to the numerator. So if we apply the boundary conditions or the limits for this equation, so this x will be upper limit minus lower limit. So lower limit is 0, then x minus 0 will become a minus 0 become a. So if you apply the limit, it will become a. And here if we apply the upper limit to x here, it is a by 2n pi sine 2n pi. X is a, so a will get cancelled, you will get sine 2n pi. And lower limit is 0, x is 0, so sine 0 is 0. So here this is sine 2n pi. So we know that sine pi is 0, 2 pi is 0, 3 pi, 4 pi, n pi or 2n pi, any number of pi's, sine of that value is 0. So this is also, this entire term will become 0, we left with only a. So b square by 2 into a equal to 1. b square by 2 into a equal to 1. So from this we can get b as root of 2 by a. Cross multiplication will get b as root of 2 by a. Now we got the value of the unknown constant b as root of 2 by a. A is width of the potential well, that is known. So thus the normalized wave function for a particle in one-dimensional potential well is given by psi n equal to root of 2 by a into sin n pi by a x. So here everything is known, and this is called the eigenfunction for the particle in one-dimensional potential well. So this wave function or the eigenfunction which describes only the particle which is trapped in a potential well of width a. Therefore this is called eigenfunction for this system. Okay, now we got the eigenvalues and eigenfunctions. Now let us discuss the solution. What does those eigenvalues and eigenfunctions mean? So since the particle in a one-dimension box is a quantum mechanical problem, we need to evaluate the most probable location of the particle in a box and its energies at different permitted state. So we need to find what is the probable location of the particle in different energy states. So let us see one by one. When n equal to 0, psi n equal to 0, that I already told that if n is 0, the quantum number is 0, the wave function psi is 0, which means to say that the electron is not present inside the box, which is not true. Therefore the lowest value of n is 1. So n starts from 1, not from 0. Therefore the lowest energy corresponds to n equal to 1 is called the 0 point energy or the ground state energy, and all the states for which n is more than 1 are called excited states. So n equal to 1 is the ground state, more than 1, that is n, if n is more than 1, those are called excited states. So let us see one by one. The case 1 for n equal to 1, that is nothing but the ground state. So the ground state energy is, when n equal to 1, n square h square by 8m a square become just h square by 8m a square, and this is the ground state energy E naught, the minimum possible energy, not more than this. Next, the eigenfunction will become psi 1 equal to b sin n is 1, so pi by a x. So this is the eigenfunction or the wave function which describes the particle when it is in the ground state, that is when n equal to 1. So in this equation, if we see that for the value of x equal to 0 and x equal to a, that is the boundaries, when x is 0, sin 0 will become 0 and psi 1 becomes 0. When x is a will get cancelled, we will get sin pi is 0, then psi also 0. For these two values, the value of psi is 0. And if you substitute x equal to a by 2, if x is a by 2, that is the middle of the potential well or box, when x is a by 2, a will get cancelled, we will get sin pi by 2. Sin pi by 2 is 1. So we will get the value of psi as maximum value. So we will get psi equal to b, that is root of 2 by a. So psi value is root of 2 by a. So that is the maximum value that psi function, wave function can have. So when we plot a graph of psi, we can see that we will get a curve like this. At x equal to 0, psi is 0. At x equal to a, psi is 0. So psi 1 will become 0 at extreme points, and at the middle the psi value is maximum. So when we join these points, you will get a curve like this. Since the psi itself has no physical meaning, we cannot say anything about this graph. We need to convert this into mod psi square. So when we plot another graph with mod psi square, we will get a similar curve like this, like a bell shaped curve. At x equal to 0, mod psi square is also 0. At x equal to a, mod psi square is 0. But at x equal to a by 2, mod psi square is maximum. So now we know that mod psi square represents the probability density, or it corresponds to the probability of finding the particle. So we can say that at the extreme points particle cannot be present because the probability is 0, but as we move inwards the probability increases, and at the center the probability of finding the particle is maximum. So when the particle is in its ground state, the probability will be maximum only at the center. So on either side the probability decreases, and we cannot find particle at x equal to 0 and at x equal to a. So this is the ground state values. Now let us see the second case, that is n equal to 2, that is called first excited state. Remember, this is first among the excited states, this is the first one, except ground state. Ground state is the minimum, and next above the ground state is n equal to 2, that is called first excited state. So for the first excited state energy, E2 is equal to n square, that is n equal to 2, 2 square is 4, 4h square by 8m a square. So it is nothing but the 4 times the ground state energy E0. So the first ground state energy is E0, but the next excited state will be having an energy 4 times that of the ground state. So first excited state energy is the 4 times E0. So in between this, the electron, or sorry, the particle which is trapped in the potential well can have an energy minimum this much E0, or next possible is 4 times the E0. So it is not possible that the particle can possess an energy of 2 times or 3 times or 2.5 times, 1.5 times, 3.6 something, any other value. It is not possible. So this is the discreteness. So if it can possess minimum E0, then next allowed or possible value is 4 times, and above this n equal to 3, that is second excited state. If n equal to 3, this becomes 9 times h square by 8m a square, that is 9 times E0. So after first excited state, the second excited state will be 9 times the E0. So it is only a discrete set of values. That is the quantization of energy. That is, the energy values of the particle trapped in a one-dimensional potential well is not continuous. It cannot possess an energy 1 times E0, 2 times E0, 3 times, or 5 times, 6, 7, 8 times. No, it's not possible. It can have either ground state one. Let me show that. So if we have ground state E0 is this one, then the next allowed energy is this one, 4 times E0. Then next allowed one is this one, 9 times E0. Okay, so energy values are not continuous. It is E0, 4 times E0, 9 times E0, and next 16 times E0, like that. Is the electron, or sorry, the particle can possess only these values of energy, and this is the discreteness. So this is not true in case of classical situations. In a classical case, for example, a tennis ball trapped in two boundaries, so you can make the tennis ball to move in any speed or in any kinetic energy. There is no restriction. It can move slowly or a bit faster or still faster, or any speed it can move. So there is no restriction for a tennis ball to oscillate between any two fixed points. So that is a classical case. But for a quantum case, it can have only these energy values. If it is vibrating or moving with an energy E0, next possible is 4 times E0, and next is 9 times E0, like this. So that is the quantum condition, quantum situation, the discrete set of energy values. Okay, now let us see the second case, n equal to 2, first excited state. We got E2 as 4 times E0, and the eigen function for the first excited state is psi2 equal to b sine 2 pi by a, because n equal to 2. So 2 pi by a x. So for this case, we can see that psi 2 it becomes 0 of course at the boundaries, that is at x equal to 0. When x is 0, then the sine 0 will become 0, psi 2 is 0, and when x equal to a will get cancelled, psi will get sine 2 pi, sine 2 pi also 0. So at x equal to 0 and x equal to a, psi 2 is 0. Also we can see that there is one more case where psi 2 becomes 0. If we substitute x equal to a by 2, a will get cancelled and 2 also will get cancelled. We will get sine pi. Sine pi is also 0. That is at a by 2, middle of the box also psi 2 is becoming 0. And let us see for what values the psi 2 becomes maximum. When x is equal to a by 4. So if it is a by 4, a will get cancelled, 2 2s are 4, so you will get sine pi by 2. So for x equal to a by 4, we will get sine 2 pi by 2, sine pi by 2, and that will be sine pi by 2 maximum 1. We will get psi 2 as maximum. If we substitute x is equal to 3a by 4, then a will get cancelled, 2 2s are 4 will get cancelled, then we will get 3 pi by 2. So sine 3 pi by 2, that is sine 270 degree. Sine 270 is minus 1. So for x is equal to 3a by 4, we will get psi 2 as negative, and of course the value b is root 2 by a. So we will get negative maximum or the minimum value of psi 2. So when we plot a graph of this for psi 2 in the potential well, we will see that at x equal to 0, at x equal to a, psi 2 is 0. Even at x equal to a by 2, the psi 2 is 0. But at x equal to a by 4, it is positive maximum, and at x equal to 3a by 2, 3a by 4, it is negative and minimum value. So when we join, we will get a curve like this. It is nothing but a kind of wave. So psi 2 is a wave, that is known, but it changes like this. Since psi 2 has both positive and negative values here, we cannot say it is the probability. So we need to convert it into mod psi square. So when we convert into mod psi square, now you can see that at x equal to 0, at x equal to a by 2, and at x equal to a, the probability, that is mod psi square, is 0, and at a by 4 and 3a by 4, the probability is maximum. That means that when the particle is in the first excited state, the probability of find the particle is maximum at a by 4 or 3a by 4, not even at a by 2. We will never find the particle at the center. When it is moving, we will find either at a by 4 or 3a by 4, but we will never find at the center. So the particle movement also appears to be something like discrete. So probability changes, and we will never find the particle at the center of the box. So this kind of observation we can see only in case of quantum situations. As I said in the last example, for a tennis ball, if a tennis ball is moving between two walls, so we will never get a situation like this. Ball will be found either here or here. We will never find the ball here. So that not true in case of classical situations. So we will find such observation only in a particle in quantum system. So probability is maximum only here, and here it is 0. So if we go to higher levels, higher energy states, then we will get similar situations. See in this diagram, for n equal to 1, this is the wave function, and this is the mod psi square, the probability is maximum at the center. When n equal to 2, that is in first excited state, the wave function is like this, and mod psi square is like this. That is, we can find the particle only here and here, and we will never find the particle here. So when n equal to 3, that is second excited state, the wave function would be like this, and the mod psi square, the probability changes like this. So in this case, the particle present here, here and here, we will never find the particle at these points. So there is a discreteness in the probabilities of finding the particle also. So when the particle is in the second excited state, if we try to find the location of the particle, we will either find here, here or here, but we will never find the particle in between these points. So that is for second excited case. If you go still higher values, third excited state, this is the wave function, and we can see that the probability values also changing. So at these points having peaks, the probability, we will find the particle, and in between them 0 probability, and we will never get the particle at these points. So as the n value becomes higher and higher, we will get more number of peaks of probability, and for a certainly very high energy, this peaks becomes almost like a continuous one. So that is a classical case. So at high energies, this probability peaks become more and more in number, and becoming reduced width of non-probability states, and it is almost like a straight line. It becomes like a straight line, and we will find it all the points. So that is extending from quantum case to the classical case, where the energy is extremely high, such that we don't find any discreteness in its probability of finding the particle. So here is graphically shown the same diagram with more and more energies. We can see that the probability of finding the particles will be in between here and here. There is no probability, 0. So we can find the particle only within this region here, like here and here, but in between no probability. I hope you can understand easily from this diagram about the probability of finding the particle. Okay, now let us extend the case to a free particle. A free particle is one which can move freely from anywhere from -infinity to +infinity in one direction, one dimension. There is no restriction or no boundaries for that particle. So the particle is moving in a straight line from -infinity to +infinity. Then for this particle, what are the eigenvalues and eigenfunctions? To discuss that, we can extend the same idea what we have used in the particle for one dimension box, and for a particle in one dimension box we got the energy eigenvalue expression as E is equal to n square h square by 8m a square. So in this case, in this expression, n is the quantum number and h, a, m and a are constant, but a is the width of the potential well. So this is width for a particle in one dimension box, but for a free particle it is infinity, because it is moving from -infinity to +infinity. Therefore the width becomes infinity. So if you substitute the value of a as infinity in this expression, denominator will be infinity. So 1 by infinity E will become infinity. For a free particle, as a tends to infinity, energy becomes 0. That means as the width of the potential well tends to infinity, that is, there is no boundaries, and for that we got energy as 0, because 1 by infinity is 0. But this is not true. E is not true, because the particle is moving. No, particle moving means it has kinetic energy, but we got the expression as E equal to 0. Then what is wrong in this? What is wrong in the assumption? If we use A as infinity, we are getting energy as 0, but that contradicts the situation that particle is moving. And then what is wrong in this? So here what we have to consider is, as the width of the potential A tends to infinity, in the numerator n, the quantum number, no longer a constant, or it tends to infinity. N also becomes infinity. So numerator infinity, denominator infinity, E will become infinity by infinity, and that is nothing but the indeterminate. So E energy becomes indeterminate. That means we cannot find its energy. No, it's not like that. The indeterminate indicates that the energy values are not quantized. They are not quantized. It can take any value. It is indefinite. That energy values may be continuous. So for a particle which is moving freely, the energy values are not quantized. It can take any value from 0 to maximum, and that can be, that is not quantized. So it can have any values. So what does it mean? A particle which is in the boundary, which is under the boundary, which is under control, we will be knowing its energy values, its probability, everything. We can find what is the probability, where the particle is present or not, everything we can find out. The moment when the particle becomes free, it is out of the control, out of boundary, and the energy values becomes continuous. It can have any energy value. There is no restrictions. So that's the difference between a particle trapped and a free particle. So it is always better being in the boundary. And if it is in the boundary, it is well known, under control. When the particle becomes out of control, out of the boundary, then it is out of control. I think we can learn a lesson from this free particle also, that always boundary is good. So don't feel bad if you have a lot of constraints or boundaries in the college or at home or somewhere. So boundaries are for your betterment. So if there is within the boundary, then the particle is under control. If it is out of boundary, it is out of control. So it is always better. Boundary is good. So don't feel bad for constraints. It is for your betterment only. Don't be a free particle. We are all bound. We are in the bound system. So always bonded system is good. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, you can contact me through mail. Thank you very much.